We're trying to present an approach to bottom position with the gi that goes as follows. You got to be able to get out of bad position. If you're pinned by your opponent, if your opponent's standing over you and you're supine or seated with no connection to him and he's blasting past your guard, you got to be able to get out of there. So we looked at the idea of guard retention. We looked at the idea of getting out of pins. From there, we looked at the idea of trying to funnel everything into half guard situations. The idea was that the less contact we have on our opponent, the less we can control their movement. And if you can't control the movement of a younger, fitter, faster, more explosive opponent, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to be competitive with them. We looked at worst case scenarios where people are standing over us, and we saw that everything's about maximizing our connection to them. When they're standing, we focus on ashi, garami, and X guard. When they're kneeling, we focus on the idea of getting to half guard situations. The one we favor more than anything else is the idea of a tight waist grip around our opponent, which maximizes contact. If we can't get a tight waist and our opponent gets an underhook on us, then we have to work with our overhook series. And everything we saw was about pushing things back towards the grip where we have the belt and the sleeve cuff, and we worked with sumigeishi. Now we're looking at a situation where we really need to slow the match down. This guy's just twice as fast as you, twice as fit as you, and you're starting to get tired. A good recommendation, especially when we work with the gi in these situations, is to go back to the relative safety of close guard. Close guard is the second most connected bottom position in Jiu-Jitsu. The most connected is half guard. Half guard bottom with a tight waist. There's no neutral position which guarantees a tighter connection than that. Close guard is a good second place, however. If you lock two legs around your opponent, you're going to be able to slow down even the fastest and most explosive of your opponents. They can't do anything until they open up your close guard first, and then they can start going back into their passes. But until they do that, you can attack them. They can't do much to attack you. So let's look at a situation where, for whatever reason, we're underneath our opponent, and perhaps we're not doing a very good job from half guard, and he's managed to get an underhook on you. So now we're going to go into close guard, and then we'll start attacking from there. Okay, if we had a half guard where our arm was underneath his arm, it wouldn't make much sense to go to close guard, okay? Unless you just had such a powerful close guard that you had so much faith you could finish from there. For most people, if you get this grip, you're better off staying in half guard. But what if Brian gets the underhook? Okay, and he's starting to, now this is a better situation for him than it is for me. He's very likely now he's going to pass. So if I feel he's got a very strong half guard top position, this would be a very good motivation for me to go back to the safety of close guard. Two ways to do this. We're going to put our hand on our hip. The first method will be the elbow escape method. I know these moves are not very exciting, guys, but these are the ones you're going to be using every day for the rest of your career. So you've got to be good at these, okay? We can't get good at the big moves until we get good at the small moves. So here we are. We're going to start off taking our foot and pointing our toes down to the mat so that our elbow can come through. And then we put our knee right there on our training partner's hip, just like so. So when Brian tries to pressure forward and apply crossface to me and put pressure on me, he can never do it, because I can push back with the strength of my legs. As he tries to put weight on us from here, it's easy for us to pressure forward. Now what I want to do is I want to plant my foot and get my hips out away from the center line. Brian, bring your left knee forward. If my foot and knee is on the center line, I can't get my foot out and put this guy back in close guard. He pressures forward. I cannot get my foot out and put him back in close guard. So what do I need to do here? I need to shift my hips out. It's only when my hips come out that now my foot can easily come out and we can lock up a close guard on our training partner. So once again, Brian, let's rotate. Brian has me in a tight half guard situation here. I want to get out. We put our hand on the hip, second hand on the lat muscle. We bring our body out onto our side, and we point our toes down at the mat. Even when Brian brings his knees in tight here, because my feet are pointing downwards, it's relatively easy for me to get my knee in front of his hip and lock up like so. Even as he comes driving forward now, knees in tight, we can just push, 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 and look how my hips start that action of sliding out. Only when my hips are out past outside my training partner's knee does it become easy now for me to go in and lock up a close guard on my training partner. As he tries to steer up to me now we're back in the safety of close guard. What we're trying to avoid is this common problem. A lot of people do a good job of getting that knee in front. But then your opponent drives his knee up to your buttocks, and then you suddenly find you cannot get your foot out, you can't connect your feet. So what do? We touch our two knees, we pinch our two knees together, and we first push, and my body swivels out to the side. From this position, because my hips are outside Brian's knee, it's relatively easy for me to take my foot out. Let's line up with the camera. Yep. Now, this is Brian's left knee. If my hip is inside Brian's knee and he brings the knee tight to my buttocks, I will never be able to put him back in close guard. I have to get my buttocks outside this knee. So what we have to do here is that shrimping motion. As my buttocks come outside the knee, now I can lock up my close guard every single time. So let's have a look at this again. In a situation where our training partner has us dead to rights, he's in a strong passing position, we can't do much from here. Defensive hands in place, turn onto our side, point our toes down at the floor so that our knee can come through, and there's my knee pinching around. But unfortunately, my buttocks are still inside my opponent's knee. And as a result, I will never be able to extract my right foot and connect my 2 feet in a closed guard. It's only when I first stretch and lengthen and then shift out to the side. Now you can see my buttocks are outside Brian's knee. And as a result, it's very easy for us now to go forward and connect our feet. Now you're in closed guard. It doesn't make any sense for Brian to stay here. It gives me an underhook. So he will most likely withdraw his hands, square up, and we'll end up in this position. Okay, so that's your first method. Second method. If I cannot get my knee in front of my opponent's hip, I will use a knee shield. So, if from here, I cannot get my right knee in front as we just described, no problem. We will turn onto our side, we'll kip and bring the left knee, the outside knee, in front of our training partner's hip. And I will use this knee to push on my training partner. I take this hand and I put it on this shoulder. My left hand to my opponent's left shoulder. Now I push with a combination of my legs and my elbow together, and I come up to my right elbow. It's like so. As my opponent goes to base out and recover, we are now going to take our foot and find it here on our training partner's hip. My second hand can go into my training partner's lapel, or I can just grab him by the back of the collar. Your choice. Then from this position, we're going to get our buttocks outside our training partner's knee. And as a result, we can quickly lock up our feet. Let's have a look at this from a different angle. So here we are in a bad from my perspective, half guard situation. Good from his perspective. I would love to bring my right knee in, but he's pinning my right knee and I can't bring my right knee inside. So instead, I'm going to use my left knee. I start shimmying out to the side until I can bring that knee shield in place. Once the knee shield's in place, we're always looking to push on our training partner. We're always looking to get that cross frame in place like so. Now we're going to push everything away. We're going to build up to an elbow. From that elbow position, we're going to put our foot on our training partner's hip. Our hand is going to go around and grab the collar. Alternatively, you can put your hand inside the lapel if you wish. Now you can see my hips are between my opponent's knees. We don't want that. To put him back in closed guard, we always want our hips outside his knees. And as a result, we can draw this guy in and lock up a good closed guard. From another angle. Here, we're in half guard. I'd like to be able to bring a classic elbow escape into play, but he shuts me down with his left knee and I can't bring my right knee through. So I bring my left knee into place and it becomes a knee shield. Now we start that action of pushing on our training partner. We put that cross frame in and we push in and get this guy moving. Hand goes over the top, foot goes on our training partner's hip. From here, I shoot my hips outside of his knee, and as a result, it's very easy for us to lock up a closed guard. So this is how we go from half guard into a closed guard with no effort, no fuss. Very, very reliable, even against the toughest of opponents. Again, these are not moves which are very exciting to look at, but these are exactly the moves you'll be using every day as an older athlete. These are the moves which enable you to use all the fancier looking moves which actually finish people. But that simple movement, two of them in fact, one from elbow escape, one from knee shield, are the basis of how older athletes take younger, fitter athletes and go from half guard into closed guard. Congratulations, you've gotten into closed guard. That's a great way for you as an older or less athletic person to restrain the movements of someone younger, more explosive, faster than yourself. But you got to be able to do something effective from there. The most effective start you can make is to break your opponent's balance and posture. If he can't recover posture and he can't recover balance, his athleticism will do him no good. Okay, so this is what you as an older or athletically compromised athlete must begin with. You've got to be able to break the stance and balance of your more athletically gifted opponents. Okay, how are we going to do this? From a closed guard situation, if he's on two knees, as a general rule, the easiest way to break his balance is forwards. The problem is he's got posts. He will gather up your lapels, and he's got a post, which when I try to pull him inwards, it's very difficult to break his balance. Okay, so the first thing we want to be able to do here is break this guy's posture. So we're going to take a sleeve grip here, and we're going to go through and we're going to grab our own wrist. As a result, we're able to pop our training partner's grip off. No matter how tightly he holds here, as I start pulling with my legs, we can always pop everything off and just swim in and pull with our legs. As a result, our opponent has to go through and start recovering. When we put our hand around the waist and he goes to recover his arm, you now find yourself in a situation where when he goes to posture up, you're locked on his head, and it's very, very hard for him to go posture up as long as you're underneath his arms. Okay, when he goes to stand up here, he's going to be carrying all of your body weight. It's going to be a tough thing for him to get away. So once again, we start off, he's got a good post here, so when I go to break his posture, he feels very, very stable. So instead, we come down here to the sleeve cuff. We go under his wrist, and we grab our own wrist. I don't just pull with my arms. It's my legs doing most of the pulling. As the legs pull, we pop his hand up and take the arm across. We get a good grip here on our training partner. So as he goes to recover his arm, we now find ourselves in a situation where as we lock up, when he tries to stand up and move away from here, it's going to be very difficult. And you're going to be in the perfect position now to start working your way back into half guard, etc., etc. Okay, it's a great position for you to work from. So that's our first thing, breaking his posture forward. Your opponent is going to reason to himself, I need to stand up. That's how he can be effective here, okay? If he can stand up, it becomes a lot harder to break his posture. Down on the knees, it's relatively easy. Understand something. When your opponent goes to stand up, he locks up. His first step will be here with this leg. Why? Why should it be there? Well, when your opponent steps up on the wrong leg, he's giving you a very easy sweep that we'll be looking at later on in the video, a scissor sweep. So that would be wrong for him to stand up with that leg first. So if he's smart, he's going to stand up, same side, forward leg like so. And go back down. You will soon see that it's actually very difficult for you to break his balance when he stands up on that leg. Right, pull in, and he feels strong as a rock. But when he stands up with the second leg, something interesting happens. This is his moment of vulnerability. When he goes to stand up on the second leg, I just hold his elbows and pull him in with our legs and break his posture. So once again, let's rotate. When he stands up on the first leg, and I pull with my legs, very little happens. But when he stands up on the second leg, we just pull everything in with our legs and he collapses easily. Let's do a little experiment. He stands up right. When he stands up left, right here, that's the moment of vulnerability. Do you see how Brian's stance just looks weak? It looks like a deer standing up soon after it's born. It's just in an innately weak position for a person. Now as he comes up, that's when we pull him with our legs, and it just destroys your opponent's posture. Contrast this with the first leg. When he stands up with the first leg, he's in a strong lunge position, and his knees point outward, so his base is strong. So when I try to pull in from here, he feels pretty strong. But when that knee comes up, his knee's kinked inwards. It's just a weak position. He needs his knees outwards. Stand up into a squat with 2 knees out. Now he's strong. Go back down with the knee pointed inwards. That's when he's easy to break down. Okay? So once again, when we lock our closed guard, don't just pull the whole time blindly. You're going to exhaust yourself quickly. Relax. Let him stand. Let the first one go. That's when he's strong because his knee points outwards the whole time. Now when he goes up on the second leg, that's when we pull him down. Okay? Now, safety word. You can off-balance people so strongly with this that you can actually injure yourself in training. If I come in here and he goes up, I can pull him into a headbutt. Okay, and that's no fun. So what I recommend when you're training with people is this. Back down. That's his strong arm. Go over it and grip like so. He stands up right, let it go. He stands up left, that's when you break him down. This wrist will always protect you. When he goes up, my wrist protects me by preventing the headbutt. This is actually the stronger method, cupping the 2 elbows. But it can be so strong that you actually end up getting a nasty injury there. So for safety and effectiveness, I'm going to recommend this. Go over your opponent's elbow. Let the first leg go. Just let it go. And understand that what makes him vulnerable, turn your foot out, is when the knee turns inwards. Go back with your foot. Try to just stand up from here with your foot inside. You'll never get up. You have to turn your foot out. Good. As he comes up, that's when he's vulnerable to the forward pull. Just pull him with your legs. Don't pull with your arm, pull with your legs. So once again, training partners in my closed guard. I take the cross grip. First leg goes up, just let it go, relax. As the knee comes up, right there, take him out of balance. Okay, so once again, cross grip, let the first leg go. As the knee comes off the floor, time it, and away we go. One more time. 1 and 2. And then from here, he has to recover his balance, and we're looking good. Okay? Now, an obvious question, well, what if the guy does stand up? What if I'm a day late and $1 short, and the guy just jumps up and he's up to his feet? How do I break him down now? Well, you've got 2 ways to do it. You can do it forwards and backwards. Let's look at the forwards method first. So, Brian Glick gets the beat on me and just stands up. I'm like, oh shit, I let him go. No problem. I take my 2 hands and I put them right here on his shins. Now, as Brian goes to posture up, I come up here. So the only thing in contact with the mat is my head. Then I just push on his 2 shins and I just walk backwards and I just put him straight down to the mat and relock my guard. So once again, he goes up successfully. I just post on his 2 shins as close to the ankles as possible. Then I just take my shoulders up off the mat and I just start walking backwards and I pull his hands to the mat. As soon as his hands touch the mat, I catch behind his 2 shoulders. As soon as I catch behind the 2 shoulders, I open up my guard and I just push on the training partner's legs, and we've broken him down to the mat. And now we're in a position to make it hard for him to stand up a second time. Okay, so let's have a look at this again. Close guard. Okay. Close guard. Opponent stands up and we block right in here. I arch up off the floor, and then from this position I just drop and I throw my body backwards. Then from here, catch, open, push on his legs, and lock up with your arm. So it's going to be hard for him to stand up a second time. Now, slight variation of this. Opponent stands. We arch, take everything off the floor and block. And this time I'm just going to walk backwards on my shoulders. This too is very effective. Catch, put weight on them, lock up, and lock up a closed guard. If we feel we cannot knock this guy we cannot knock him forwards, then we may just trip him and knock him backwards. From here, he stands up. I take a cross sleeve cuff right here, and I just hold it. He goes to yank out. It's quite difficult. Now I just put my elbow behind my training partner's hip, and I just give a little bump. I knock him down to his ass. From here, he comes up to recover. Then we lock up the pinch headlock, and it's going to be hard for him now to stand up a second time. So if we feel this guy stand up, and we feel like he's getting away from us, we just scoop inside. We just push inside our training partner's knee as he fights his way back up. Now we lock up, then he's done. Let's go back to center. So we've got a little series here from closed guard. Guy finds posture. We go underneath and lock up. We see the guy starting to go up. We wait for the second step and break his posture. We see this guy get up successfully. We lock in here and lock up. We see this guy get up all the way. We feel we cannot break him forwards. And in this way, you can repeatedly break your opponent's posture and stance. As he tries to get up to his feet into good posture, very, very hard for him. And you can repeatedly break him down over time. It's mentally frustrating for your opponent. It's physically fatiguing. He's trying to get up every time and you're just exerting minimal force. You just keep knocking him down, getting a hold of his head. After 2 or 3 minutes of this, they get tired and frustrated. They start making basic errors, basic mistakes, and you can use your patience and wisdom to capitalize on those mistakes in ways that we'll look at later on in the video. One of the big themes of this video is the idea that there are many moves in Jiu-Jitsu that work extremely well with no gi, but they work twice as well with a gi. You can take that same move, just add one element of grip and take an already good move and make it twice as good, just with a small alteration in grip. A good example of this is the hip sweep. The hip sweep is often seen in no-gi competition. It's a great move that I've covered in the past. My students often make use of it. It's a fantastic move in the no-gi context. But just one simple change in grip makes it considerably better when we work with the jacket on. So, Brian's in my closed guard. A hip sweep occurs anytime we're able to come up on top of our training partner into a position where our hips are on top of his hips like so. And if we can trap our training partner's arm, then from here we can drive them through and end up not only sweeping them, but end up in a mounted position as well. It's an excellent, excellent sweep. The main problem associated with the move is you have to fight through your opponent's hands to sit up. And if your opponent's talented, that can be a very difficult thing. He does a good job. In a gi, it can seem even more difficult because now they can hold on to your lapels and it's very hard to sit up. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take a cross cuff grip. We're going to get 2-on-1 and grip our training partner right here at the sleeve cuff, just like so. Now, even if my opponent's grabbing onto our lapels, it's pretty easy for us using any one of the grips that we've looked at to get a hold of our opponent's hand, just like so. From here, we're going to start the action of sitting up. How are we going to do this? I'm going to shift my hips over to the side and go from flat on my back to onto my side. And then we're just going to come up here to an elbow. And then we're going to build up here to a hand. From this position, we're just going to take our whole body over our training partner's hips. So we just come up and over like so. From here, it's an easy thing for us to drive our foot to the mat, and then from here, make a turn around our training partner and knock this guy down to the floor. Now, why is this better? Because that cross cuff grip removes the impediment of your opponent's hand. If I sit up to my right, it's almost always going to be the left hand that stops me from coming up. I can always get this arm out of the way. This is the one that's going to stop me from getting up and being effective. So what I want to do in these circumstances is get this annoying hand out of my way. Let's do an experiment. When I clear this hand out of the way and Brian tries to put his other hand on my chest to stop me coming up, he'll never stop me coming up with the other hand. If I'm sitting up to my right, it's the left hand that's going to stop me coming up. If he puts this hand on my chest and tries to stop me, he'll never stop me sitting up. So this is the hand that I want. When you're working with no gi, it can be tough because you can't control this hand. But with a gi, you can control it. It's easy now to take it off. Once you control it with this grip, he tries to bring the hand back to your chest, he'll never do it. This grip is strong as hell. As long as my wrist is on top of his wrist, he try to bring your hand back. You stiff arm it off. It's so easy. It's like cheating. Then from here, we focus on getting up. You can be on your elbow, you can be on your hand. And then from this position, we just turn our hips over our training partner's hips. And then if his hand touches the mat, it's going to be a post, it's going to stop you. So now instead of pushing, now we're pulling on the hand. He tries to get the hand to the mat, you make it hard. And you step over and knock this guy down. So once again, from another angle. Training partners in our closed guard. From here, we go through and we get a hold of our training partner's hand. He tries to bring the hand back. That one-handed grip holds it off very easily. Now from here, we just build up either to an elbow or to our hand. From here, look how we just take our training partner's hand and we bring it out in this direction, like you're stretching it. And then from here, it's an easy step over and into the mounted position we go. From more angles, I want to sit up to my right. It's the left hand that we've got to take care of. So we just pop it off and control it. He tries to bring the hand back, it won't be easy. We shift out to the side. And from here, it's all about coming up, getting that elbow down to the floor. Or alternatively, forcing yourself up to a hand to the floor. Now from here, we just turn our hips over our training partner and we bring his hand to our hand. That's the grip you want. So there's no posting on his part. And from here, we just step over his body. And you guessed it, we're pulling everything across the center line, so we end up in good attacking position on the floor. From another angle, we go through, we get that grip. We pop his hand off, and we hold it out to the side. So when he tries to bring the hand back, it won't be easy. Now we start battling up to our base. Watch me take his hand to my hand. When I come up, watch his hand. I take his hand across to mine. And that's what whips him over every time. When he tries to base out, there's just nothing there. And as a result, you get a beautiful sweep. That's 2 points for your sweep, and then 4 points for the mounted position. So it's a very, very high scoring move. However we do it, we go through and we get our grip. Sometimes I'll be gripping down here. Like so, that's fine. We just get that cross grip 2-on-1. We just start pulling everything in with our left and stamping that grip off. Now from here we get onto our side. That always makes it easy to sit up. Here I'm flat on my back, it's quite difficult. So we're always looking to get onto our side initially. So we push away on our training partner. Look how we just take his hand to our hand. When he tries to recover, man, it's tough. Then you're right over the top and into the mounted position we go. Once again. Training partners in place, we go through and we get that cross cuff grip. Your left on his left or your right on his right. From this position, it's an easy thing to pull him in and break his grip. As he goes to recover his grips, you're in a position now to start taking that arm out and away. Now from here, we come around the corner, we bring his hand to your hand. Try to recover your post. It's so difficult. And you can just walk him over in slow motion. Remember guys, the big problem associated with this move, no gi, hands on, you try to come up and it's that left hand that stops you sitting up to your right, you can't do it. You have to contrive all kinds of ways to do it. He can tackle your body and put you back down. There's many things he can do. But with a gi on, it's so much harder for him. Because once we get that hand out of position and he tries to return it, it's very, very difficult. He can put his other hand on my body, it means nothing. Okay, we're always looking, come up to the side and drive forward. His other arm won't stop you. This is the arm that always stops you. That's the one that always puts you back. But if you use the gi to control that arm, when he tries to bring it back, it's so difficult. Now, don't let him put it on the floor. You've done all this good work. Now he puts a hand on the mat. You try to knock him over. No good. So what we want to do, take his hand and put it over your hand. So as I bring my hips up, that's what I want to do. Now, when Paul O'Brien goes to fight from this position, it's like a joke. Go, Brian. Take your way back up. You can walk over in slow motion, okay? I can't promise you many things in Jiu-Jitsu, guys, but one thing I can promise you is this. If you get your hips on top of his hips and you put his hand on top of your hand, you're going to sweep him every time, okay? It's just an unfair advantage. Paul O'Brien tries to fight from this position. All I've got to do is just turn my hips over and it's done. It's over. So once again, understanding what we're trying to do here. We're trying to take a move which is good, no gi, and make it great with a gi. From here, we get the cross cuff grip. Now when he tries to stop me with this hand, it's so difficult for him. Now when we punch our hips up on top of his, he tries to post to the floor, and you just touch his hand to your hand. And as a result, we end up in perfect position to go on the attack. Okay? So again, fellas, it's that theme that we keep working through this video. Take a move that's good with no gi and make it great with the gi, just by a simple alteration in hand position. Understand the one thing that's going to stop you. If I'm sitting up to the right, it's going to be his left hand. Doesn't matter how we do it. Some guys will do it by putting a hand on your chest. You can't do it. Some guys will let you get up and then they'll tackle you and put you back down. But it's always this damn hand. But when we work with a gi, how's he going to do that? There's just not much you can do. Then we get our hips on top of it. Now the only thing you can do is put his hand on the floor, but you're touching his hand to your hand. So when you wrestle the position, it's so hard for this poor guy. Okay? So there you have it, the hip sweep, modified for us older fellas, using your knowledge and your wisdom to take a good move and make it a great move. Now, we just looked at the idea of hitting a hip sweep off that cross cuff grip. Probably the single most common line of resistance you'll get is people will try to push you back down and return you to the mat so you can't sit up and sweep them over. Whenever this occurs, you're going to get great opportunities to post your opponent's elbow and take his elbow all the way past you and start to expose your opponent's back. This is a very well-known move from closed guard. It's commonly seen. What I want to do, I've taught it in the past in videos, what I want to do here today is to show how we can modify it for older and less mobile athletes so that they can be effective with this move. The move itself conceptually is brilliant. Anytime you're in closed guard and you beat your opponent's elbow, by extension, you're halfway to his back already. They have no ability to post out on that side of the trap down, so you've got to sweep a lot of people. So it's a great attacking move. But it can be a little challenging for older or physically ungifted athletes to try and get around behind their opponent against resistance. So let's look at this in the light of people who are a little less mobile. Okay, the move itself is well known. From any kind of closed guard situation, we go through on our training partner and pop our training partner's grip off. Ordinarily, we would start pulling in with our legs. Ordinarily, we'd start getting 2-on-1 grips on our training partner's sleeves and posting on that elbow and sending our training partner's elbow on by. Then we'd get a hold of our training partner with the lat muscle and start maneuvering our body out to the side. Then from here, it's all about a battle for height. Typically, what we're looking to do is come up to a situation where your head is higher than your training partner's head, and as a result, you can pull your body around behind your training partner and start threatening their back. Now, what many older athletes, when I teach, struggle with is that climb to the back. It's like they do a great job of getting to here. That's not so hard for them. But when it's time to come up on top of this guy, they feel the opponent pushing back into them and they get flattened out and tend to give up on the move. Okay? So how are we going to make this a little more effective for people that are less mobile? First, I want to show you how you can just from bottom position use the weight of your hips to put weight on your opponent's head and just make their life difficult and slow them down right from the start. We're going to start off gripping our training partner's sleeve cuff, gripping our own wrist, popping our training partner's grip off, and as always, pulling in with our legs and sending our training partner's arm on by. Usually the way we do this is we get, rotate this way, we get the following grip. Here I have my cross cuff grip. You'll notice none of my fingers are inside. My fingers are always on the outside where it's a legal grip on the jacket. We're only allowed to grip on the outside. Thumb can go inside, that's fine. From here, we take our hand in like so. Then you'll see a line of tension running down my training partner's jacket. I find the line of tension, I put my two hands on it so you have like a handlebar grip on your training partner. Now, you won't be able to push by with your arms, but what you can do is pull with your legs. Then at the same time, we push the arm on over and we catch our training partner with the lat muscle. Now, rather than climbing my upper body around my opponent's back, what I'm going to encourage the less mobile people to do is to climb their lower body around. And I lock over my training partner's shoulders. So even though my upper body is still down on the ground, you'll see that my hips are behind my opponent's head and shoulders. So when Placido tries to pull his arm free,
It's very, very, the other arm. It's very, very difficult for him to do so. Okay, my hips are wedged in behind his elbow. And this is a very, very strong holding position. Even if Placido went to stand up from here, I would still be behind his head in a fine attacking position. There's many ways for us to work from here. When Placido, you'll see now that your training partner is bearing the weight of your hips behind his head. So when he tries to posture up, he's working very, very hard. At the same time, the only way he can posture up is to push off his hands. So what we're going to push off his hands on the floor. What we're going to do is we're going to get a hold of our training partner's knuckles. When he tries to push off the mat, you can always just take those hands forward. As he straightens out on the other hand, straightens this arm out, no, push your head up. From here, you can always take those hands off the floor using this simple grip. Every time Placido tries to push off the mat, you'll see you can just take those hands off the floor. He needs to be able to contact with the mat in order to push off the mat. Go down. As he goes to bench press his way up off the floor, look how you can just pick those hands forward and ensure every time you can get a hold of your training partner. And then just because my hips are on top of my opponent, I can roll them through. Okay? Now, let's have a look at this from another angle so you can see what's going on. The idea is this standard move from closed guard works across all belt levels, the highest levels of the sport. It's relatively simple. All you got to do is get two hands on one arm, pull them in with your legs and get the elbow across. That part's easy, even for older, physically compromised athletes. The challenge for older, less mobile athletes is the challenge of climbing their back. That tends to be something you see more in the younger divisions of Jiu-Jitsu. When I coach older athletes, what I encourage them to do is not climb the back with their whole body, but climb the back with their lower body. That you can do very, very easily. Get your hips over your opponent's head. Get your hips behind his elbow. He won't be able to pull his elbow out. And then from there, start attacking his hands because he's going to be pushing off the floor with his hands. You're not allowed to grab fingers in Jiu-Jitsu, but you are allowed to grab all four knuckles. Plus, let's do an experiment. Just take a referee's position. Whenever you have weight on someone and you want to take hands off the mat, the most efficient way for you to do is to cover the knuckles. When Placido puts his weight on his hands here, it's very easy for you just to take those hands off when you grab in this fashion. If you just try to grab the hands and move, it feels impossible. But gripping here makes it so easy for us just to take a hand off the mat, regardless of which side we're on. It's just so easy just to collapse the hand in. And then from here, you can go to work. It's an old trick that works extremely well. And it works well in this context of closed guard. So, once again, here we are. Closed guard situation. We go to hit the previous move. So I take my cuff grip, I break his grip off, and from here I try to set up and off grip, which takes me to the mat, and we send him straight on by. So as he stops my hip sweep, we go now straight towards our training partner's back. Now we get a hold of our training partner's lat muscle, right where it meets the armpit. We start that action of climbing, and we throw our legs over our training partner's back, and we relock our closed guard so that my hips are over his shoulders. When Placido tries to pull his arm out, it just runs right into my hips. When he goes to posture up, it's so difficult for him and relatively easy for us to take that hand and break him down to an elbow. Now what do? Watch my hand go through and grip right there at my training partner's elbow. When Placido tries to post off that hand, it's easy for us to pull that elbow on by. And then from here, we just turn down. I put my hand on the floor and I just walk forward and into the mounted position we go. Usually a very high mounted position because of the nature of the guard that you were using. Seen from another angle. Here, Placido's in my closed guard. We go through, get our grips. We try hard for the previous move. We see that resistance. We take everything on by just like so. Now we reach for the lat muscle. We start that action of shooting our hips out. We start that action of grabbing, locking, and locking our feet over the shoulder. So Placido's carrying my weight here. When he tries to posture up and move out, he's carrying all that weight. It's hard for him. Now we grab the line of the knuckles, we pull, and take him down to an elbow. Now from here we start, get up to your base. From here, we grab a hold of our training partner's elbow, just like so. We pull the elbow through. And from this position, we roll our man across, and we end up in a very high mounted position. And it's from positions like this, you can go into all your favorite submission holds, etc., etc. So, once again, training partners here in front of us. We start off popping his grip off the gi. I try hard for the previous move, and then from here, we take everything one and send his arm through into a very vulnerable position with his entire back exposed. We grab on the far side of the body, and then we start that action of climbing with our hips, locking up our closed guard behind our training partner. Now from here, if I see him trying to bench press his way off the floor, you can always take the hand off the mat. Every time he goes to recover, now I just grab his elbow and lock it. From that locked position, I just take my knee forward over my training partner's head, post my other hand on the floor, and pull on the elbow to drag this guy up in positions where from here, you're ready to attack. Okay? From another angle. Training partners here in front of us. We go through, take his grip off. We try hard for the previous move. We run into resistance. There's that grip right there. We pull in with our legs and send his arm on by. We reach across for the lat muscle right where it meets the armpit. We start that action of turning and locking our feet over the top. I grab his tricep in this position. From here we pull the elbow inwards. I put my other hand on the floor and I just rotate both of my training partner's body, and into that very high mounted position we go. And from here, so many ways for us to go on the attack. So this is a really good way for people who are perhaps a little less mobile to get effective attacks after they've hit a good elbow post. It's an excellent way for you to operate. Another excellent way for us to operate. From that same situation, where we come in on our training partner, we get a hold of that 2-on-1 elbow post, we pull him with our legs and send this guy's arm on by. As we get to our first grip, we're always looking to get that climb. If I can't climb my whole body as a compromised athlete, we're going to climb with our lower body. So I just throw my leg over the shoulders and we lock up like so. What do you think Placido is going to want to do? He's going to bring his head over my head. And if he can do that, he can recover the position. Don't forsake this grip. You worked hard for that grip, make sure you keep it. So once we start coming up and climbing our legs over, if I feel I'm losing my head position, I keep this grip and I just grab by the lat muscle. Now I shoot my hips underneath them and I block with my foot behind my training partner's ankle. So if Placido went to base out with his right leg, he couldn't do it. It's blocked my ankle. My second leg comes up into his armpit and just brushes his weight forward. Placido can't base out with his right hand. And as a result, you get a very good knockdown, and into the mounted position we go. Seen from another angle. Training partners in front of us. We do a good job scoring that grip that we favor so much. We pull in with our legs and send them on by. We try hard, come out to the side and lock up. But he fights and fights and brings his head back over us. No problem. We grab the lat muscle, we push our hips underneath them, just rotate
My right or my left?
to your right. Now, what should I do with my foot? I block right here. So when Placido goes to base out with his right leg, it's difficult. If I didn't do that, he could base out with his leg and stop the move. So he plant right here. Now I take my second foot and I bump all the way up into his armpit. Then we just touch, we hook our foot right there into his hip so that when he tries to bridge and move around, you're going to get opportunities to get your feet bridging underneath your opponent's body and into good tight mounted positions. So once again, training partner in front of us and close guard. We go through, fix up our grips. We take our training partner straight across. We start that action of climbing up over their back. We start to resist and push us around the corner. We plant and flower sweep straight up and over, and into top position we go. Once we get mounted, we're ready to attack. So these two moves work exceedingly well for athletes who are perhaps a little compromised with their mobility. Rather than climbing your whole body around behind your opponent, that's an excellent way to operate, the preferred method if you can do it. But if you feel your mobility is a little compromised, just climb with your hips around his back rather than his whole body. So instead of this, where I go around, placing my hands on the floor and climbing my whole body around my opponent, instead, we're just going to climb and throw our hips over his back. So that as Placida goes to wrestle from this position, you've got excellent upper body control. From here, first option is to grab his elbow and pull it forwards. And then from here, we just roll him through and to the mounted position we go. Second option is when we lose head position. So we take this guy on by, we're trying to climb up on top of him, and his head comes on top of our head. And as a result, we can't get our hips up on top of his head. So we block our training partner's ankle, we bring our foot all the way forward, and we hook right into his hips. So that as he tries to pull away from us from here, it's very, very difficult. And you climb up into the mounted position. Okay? These are very realistic ways for people who aren't the most athletic guy in the gym to really make use of this great principle from closed guard of sending your opponent's elbow on by and climbing towards his back. Now, we've looked at this valuable cross-cuff gripping from closed guard. It's a great way for an older athlete to manipulate your opponent's arm so that you can come up into sweeps. We've seen the idea of coming up for a hip sweep. We've seen the idea of 2-on-1 elbow post to clear our opponent's elbow across the center line, and then how to attack from there. What you're going to find when you get this grip, most of your opponents are going to try and stand up in your closed guard. That's how strong, fit young athletes have a relatively easy time opening up the closed guard of an older opponent. They just stand up off the floor. It's hard for the less mobile people to continue holding the closed guard, and they just open up the closed guard and start passing. So we've got to have an effective way of returning our opponent to the mat when they go to stand up in our closed guard. And arguably the best one of them all is to take a cross cuff grip, and then from here, knock them down with a sweeping sweep. So we have a training partner in our closed guard. As an older athlete, the biggest problem I face is my opponent successfully standing up. And then from here, putting your hand inside our knee, hand, and then push, push, push. And then from this position, my guard's open. Now you're in a situation where he has the mobility advantage. Okay, let's get his legs back. From here, he's younger, faster, fitter than you, and they go into their passing. So what do we do to keep this in a situation where we keep him inside our legs and in a situation where you can get that close contact and be effective? Okay, we've already seen this notion of cross cuff gripping, where when we break an opponent's grip in these situations, from here we can sit up, and from here we've seen the idea of sweeps from this position. Okay, once we get an opponent gripping us here, we're going to lock onto our training partner's cross cuff. We can threaten with the two moves we've looked at so far, hip sweeping and bringing the elbow across the center line. This time the guy gets the beat on us and he stands up before we can be effective here. So what we're going to do is we're going to scoop inside our training partner's ankle, just like so. Make sure we scoop at the ankle. Don't grip up at the knee. Just flex your bicep around your training partner's ankle like so. Now I'm going to pull my training partner's sleeve cuff. He has no ability to base out with his left hand because I'm controlling the sleeve cuff. Now I just look out behind me like so and knock him down. Plus, can't even put a hand out to support himself, so they tend to land on their shoulder here. As a result, it's relatively easy for us now to continue control. Don't let go now. If I let go now, he's going to come up on his elbow, and that's when they can start to recover. So we continue holding here like so. As he fights to get up, you just turn, and point your body across it. Now you end up in the mounted position. So once again, we have an opponent on top of us. From here, we see him get to his grips, and we see, yes, he wants to stand up. So we go through, we take our cross cuff grip. As he goes up to his feet, we're going to scoop here inside our training partner's ankle, just like so. Now from here, look how I look behind me. My hips come up high, and I back heel with my 2 feet, and I knock him down. Plus, I can't even base out with his arm. And as a result, when we get into a scramble from here, he tries to come back up. You just keep his elbow elevated. Now I just point my head towards my own hand. Don't try to come with your head towards him. If I come this way, he pushes back, that's when you go backwards. Keep his arm extended and point your head at your own hand. So as he tries to come up, you just walk him down and into top position you go. Now, let's point out a few important things. If I hit this move without controlling his cross cuff, Placido can base out on the floor, and now it's a dogfight as to whether or not I'm going to get up on top of this guy. I have to get my head and hips higher than his. If he's younger and fitter and stronger than me, when I try to come up, he's going to come up. You may well end up getting returned to the mat. Still a good move, but not the complete finalization that you were looking for. That's why I'm always going to advocate gripping here. Now, Placido is making a bit of a boo-boo when he performs this move. He's standing up with the wrong leg first. Placido, you should be standing up correctly with your right leg first, since that's your forward arm. Okay, so when he goes up right leg first, just let him get up. And then go hunting for that leg. Bring your head in towards it, catch, and we bring our body in close to that ankle. Now I just punch my hips straight up, and then I just look behind me. This Placido fights to get back up. Even if he got his leg out of here and went to fight his way back up, it's the elbow that he needs to get up. Then I just bring my head over my own hand, and as a result, we walk forward and into the mounted position. I can't emphasize enough how important that cross sleeve control is. Without that, it turns into a scramble, and in scrambles, the younger, faster, fitter athlete has the advantage. Your job as an older athlete, take away the scramble. The basis of his scrambling ability is his ability to get to an elbow and get his head up high. Take that away from him. Get your grip and hold it in tight, and don't forsake it until you're mounted. From here, he goes up. You catch all the way down here. And then it's just one movement up and out. As we go to scramble, it's hard for the other guy. Now we come up and into top position we go. Seen from other angles. Close guard, training partner goes to stand. We go through, we get a hold of his sleeve cuff. Just hold it there patiently, let him go. Now, we pull our head in tight and just up go the hips. We look around behind us and we knock him down to the floor. As he goes to recover, it's so hard when you keep that hand elevated. And then from here, we just walk our body forward and into the mounted position we go. Now, what if we're dealing with a very, very strong opponent? We successfully knock him down, but then we lose the cross cuff grip once we're down on the floor. So, training partner goes to stand. And then from here, I lose the cross cuff grip. If you ever lose that, focus on getting your hips over his hips. Don't sit back between his legs. That's when he wins. Throw your hips forward and point your shin down to the mat so that my legs scissor over his hips. If I face him square on, we scramble, Placido wins every time. I want to turn my body side on. Now when we scramble,
It feels heavy.
very hard for him to be effective. Go back up. If I face him squarely, rotate this way over, on your elbow. So we've knocked him down to an elbow. If I face him squarely, Placido can get his elbow off the mat. Hand on the elbow. Elbow off the mat and pushes forward. And he can knock me down. If I turn my body like this, now when he goes to take his elbow off the mat,
Much heavier.
it's very, very difficult. Now we just hold the elbow itself and just pull it out. So if you lose the sleeve, you've got to regain the elbow. So putting all this in perspective, training partner goes to stand. We go through, we take a cross cuff grip. We take our elbow right around his ankle, never coming up high, always down like so. We push up with our hips, and then I just look around behind me. I keep his hand elevated. If you can do this, you're going to win the scramble every time. If he puts a hand on my wrist and clears it, the onus is on me to turn my hips and scissor them like so. So when Placido tries to get his elbow off the mat, it's hard work. Now we grab the elbow and we regain the elbow. So if we lose the sleeve cuff, we've got to fight for the elbow with our hips in the correct position. And in this way, you can turn this situation into a real win. I'll say this again. The most difficult situation for an older athlete when he's operating from closed guard is an opponent who stands up on him. Once they open your guard, you find yourself in an unwanted situation. He's free of your grips and he has mobility because he's standing, and you don't have mobility because you're lying on your back. That's when older athletes tend to get blitzed by younger, faster athletes. So what we want to do when they stand up is keep that cross cuff grip. That's your key to winning the scramble. It's pretty easy to knock them down, but it's hard for older athletes to win scrambles against competitive opponents. You're going to win it by maintaining that cross cuff grip. If you should lose the cross cuff, then you've got to go scissor hips. And if you scissor the hips, then you can regain the elbow, put them down, and win that scramble to the mounted position. Now, we've seen the biggest concern that we have if we're going to use closed guard against younger, fitter, stronger opponents is that they stand up in our closed guard and they open it, because that creates a situation where you're flat on your back with not much in the way of connection to your opponent, and he, on the other hand, is now standing over you. He's already younger, fitter, and faster than you are. Now he's got a huge mobility advantage. He's on his feet, you're flat on your back. This is probably the situation in which older, athletically compromised athletes are most likely to have a younger opponent just blitz right past their guard and land across side or even in the mounted position. What we want to do when they go to stand up is be able to return them to the mat at a minimum. Hopefully sweep them and get on top of them, but at a minimum we should be able to break them down to the mat repeatedly so that they get stymied inside our closed guard. They get frustrated, they tend to make more mistakes, we break their balance. An opponent with broken stance and balance is much easier to attack. One of the best ways for us to do this is a leg binding sweep. Let's look first at the classic version that was taught many years ago when I was beginning Jiu-Jitsu, and is still pretty effective to this day. Okay, our training partner goes to stand up. We're going to take double cuff grips on the training partner like so. When we go to stand, we're going to look at the width of our opponent's knees. If you ever see the knees are relatively close together, this is the time to hit this move. Now here's some news for you. If your opponent stands up with a very wide base, like artificially wide, you won't be able to hit this move. But on the other hand, if their base is that wide, it's actually pretty easy just to return them to the mat, just by pulling in with your legs, like so. Okay, so experienced opponents tend to stand up with their feet a little more narrow, just a little bit beyond shoulder width is the ideal when they go to stand up in your guard. And when they do this, they're very vulnerable to a leg binding sweep. So we get double cuff grips, he goes to stand, we just let him go. Then from here, we're going to open up our closed guard just for 1 second, and we're going to slide down to their knees. So our guard comes down, and we just relock our guard right around their knees. And there's inward pressure on the knees like so. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my knees to my chest to take him out of balance. I want to sweep Placido to my right. I could go either side, but I'm demonstrating it to my right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his hands out to my left. So his hands go one way, and my knees go the other. And as a result, we can score a quick knockdown. Now, when you get the knockdown, that's good, you've done well, but you want to get on top of them. The way for us to get on top is to put our hand on the mat. The bad news is he's younger and fitter than you, so he's going to come up quickly too. But do you see the issue here, guys? I've got my legs around Placido's legs. So when he goes to scramble up, it's actually pretty difficult because my legs are still around his. So what we do now is just pass his arm across, and we just physically climb onto his legs. Now he's got to put hands on my shoulders, put me back in guard, etc., etc. And as he fights to put us back in guard, you'll end up now in top position. And you end up in top position. Okay? I'm not going to lie to you fellas, it's unlikely you're going to end up in the mounted position. I know some people demonstrate this move, they end up mounted. That's very unlikely to happen because of your leg position. That's fine. Just as long as you knock them down and get on top, that's huge for you. Okay? So you can always pass his guard later. So, once again, training partner is in our closed guard. We get double cuff grips on our training partner like so. As he goes to stand up on us, we just drop our legs right in there. Now we bring our knees forward, just like so, and we punch his hands one way, and our knees go the other. And as a result, we knock him down. My legs remain around him. If I didn't do that, he could do the upper very quickly. But because my legs are around him, when he goes to scramble up, it's kind of constrained, even if his hips came off the floor. Easy for us now to get up on top. Now, a word about timing. When you hit this move, don't just let him stand, and then take your time and lock up. Time his second step. When you time the second step, it's really easy now to get him floating. As the hands go across in this direction, my knees bring him forward, and we topple him down. You see how I just lost Placido's legs there? That makes it much more likely that Placido will get up successfully and scramble away. Not the end of the world because you have returned him to the mat, but not ideal either. You do want to get on top whenever you can, even if it means just getting into his guard. Now, let's talk more about this idea of timing the move. From a situation where you see Placido from the back, I want you to focus on Placido's legs going up. First, the right leg goes up. Stop. Now, if I stay in a closed guard and let Placido stand, it's much more likely now that it's going to be challenging for me to get my legs locked around him. As his knees start coming apart and he starts walking back, it becomes very difficult now for me to connect my feet. But look what happens if I time Placido so that as he goes to stand, I catch him here. That's where I'm much more likely to get my opponent's knees together. And then from here, I just bring him forward, and off that kazushi and off balancing, my feet start to extend, and then we just push everything over. If I feel my legs have lost control of my opponent, switch your arm instead. So that if the two of us come up together, you're in a situation where you can stay over his knees. And then from here, you'll get into your top position. Again, time your opponent's second step. That is the single most likely way in which you will be able to catch someone's knees, even when they stand up, they try to stand with wide base. So even when they know you're hitting the move. So if he goes up one leg, that's when you bring him in very easily and dump them. From another angle. Training partner goes to stand. And now we're on top. So the main points for the classic version of the sweep. From here, first leg goes up. I'm already thinking, let's get ready. As the second knee comes up off the mat, I slide down the legs and I catch them close together so that when we lock, it's on. First movement is knees to chest. Second movement is hands go across. And then from here, we just tilt him down to the side. Stay with your legs around him as much as possible so that when we go to scramble, his legs are shackled together. It's hard for him to hip heist. If you didn't have that, it's pretty easy for him to heist up. This is ideal. If you lose that and the knee comes through, put your elbow around. So as he goes to heist, he pulls you up with him. And then from here, you get a good result. This is the classic version of the sweep. This is the one which I learned when I was a white belt many, many years ago. It worked then, and it'll work for you now. Now, we just looked at the classic version of the leg binding sweep. It's a great way to deal with someone who stands up in your closed guard. Very, very effective anytime you've got a jacket on. Like all moves, some degree of evolution occurs over time. The classic method works well up to a certain level, but at a highly competitive world championship level, you don't see it very often. What you do see is a more mechanically powerful modern version of it. Let's have a look at this right now. Okay, we've seen that everything begins with double cuff grips. We've also seen that when someone goes to stand up in our guard, you want to time the second step so that as they go up, Your legs come in and lock them in place, making sure that your lock is above the knees, so that when they go to step out, it's physically impossible. Now, at World Championship level, you get some athletically very impressive people, and this whole video is about situations where the other person is more athletic than you. So how are we going to take down someone who's a way better athlete than you are? Well, we're going to do it by releasing one of our cuff grips and holding right here. What does this hand do once it releases? We're going to grip down here at our training partner's heel. We typically don't grab the gameplans, we just hold the Achilles tendon like so. So we have a cuff grip and an Achilles grip, just like so. Now, as Placido makes his base as strong as he can, instead of me trying to pull him forwards and sweep, the classic method, we're going to look to knock him backwards instead. You can knock him to either side, but I'm going to recommend to you, you try first to knock him to the side of the trap sleeve, because that's the hardest side for him to base out on. Don't worry, we'll look at the second option very soon. So I'm going to take my ass off the mat and we're going to knock our training partner backwards this time. So they come down like so. Now, Placido can't base out on this side because I'm holding my training partner's sleeve cuff. As a result, we get a situation where he tries to heist out of here. He can't do it. My legs are still binding my training partner's legs. And now we make an assessment as to which way we're going to go. There's a bunch of ways you can do this, and they all work pretty damn well. First method is for us to switch to a cross cuff grip, so I get 2-on-1. So when Placido tries to yank his arm out, it's really tough. And then from here, we put our hand down on the floor and we start climbing up on top of our training partner's legs. So that when Placido goes to hold us off, it's quite difficult. When he tries to shoot his hips out, it's quite difficult in the time available. Now he's got to start putting me back in guard. And then from here, climb up on top and you get your reversal points. So once again, training partner goes to stand up. We start off with double cuffs and we bind up his legs. Now we feel that the classic method just isn't working. This guy's very tough physically. We catch a hold of our training partner and instead of trying to knock him forwards, the classic method, we're going to knock him backwards. Knock him down to his ass. From here, we get a hold 2-on-1. When he goes to pull out of here, legs do everything. It's more difficult than it looks. Now we plant and we come climbing up on top of our training partner. He will almost certainly post on you, shoot his hips back, and that's when we go in and we get our reversal points. All the methods are the same. The only thing that changes between them is which direction he falls and how you manage coming up on top. They're all just minor variations of each other. The most important thing is that when we goes up, we time the second step, and then from here, instead of bringing him forwards with double sleeves, we go single sleeve plus ankle, and we go to knock him backwards. Now, when you go to knock someone down with this method, plus you make your base as strong as you can. You just don't want to fall.
Yep, sure.
It's really hard because both his legs are just so close together. From here, you just wiggle, 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 wiggle. At some point, they stumble and fall. Okay? Now, this time Placido's fallen down to his elbow. We come in and we lock around our training partner's leg. Let's rotate this way to the camera. So he falls. I just take my elbow and I put it around his leg and my head goes in. So as Placido goes to scramble up, it's almost impossible. And then we just come up on top and get our reversal points. Just a minor variation. Now, sometimes the guy will fall to the side of his free arm. You don't really control which side he falls to, so we've got to be ready for anything here. He comes up, and we bind up his legs. We catch, and from here, he makes his base as strong as he can, and we just start that motion, and he falls down on this side of the body. Now we come up and we push across his body. As Placido goes to scramble up from here, your legs are around his legs. And we just fight, and we just push his hands across in front of each other until we can climb up on top. Now we just take our arm, we go around our training partner's waist as he tries to get up from here. It's very, very difficult, and we get our victory. So, first, what's common to all the methods? The commonality is the most important thing. What we're trying to say is that when you deal with very, very athletically gifted opponents, the most reliable way is to actually knock them backwards. The classic method involves pulling them forwards with your knees. The modern method involves gripping the ankle on one side and a sleeve cuff on the other. Plus, it makes his base as strong as we can, and we just lift our ass off the mat, and he's going to stumble, and at some point he's going down. Which side he goes down to is kind of up to him, to be honest. It's not really up to you. So we've got to be ready for a situation where he falls onto the side of his free arm. If that should occur, we push across his body, just like so. We start that action of coming up on top. As he goes to recover from here, so hard, and the arm is explode. And then we just get up to the waist, and we get our reversal. If, on the other hand, our opponent falls to the side of the trapped arm, if that should occur, we come around and bind his knees up like so. As he tries to get up, it's so difficult. In the third method, again, he falls to the side of the trapped arm. This time, we use 2-on-1 switch. He goes to hold us off, and we just put our legs tight around our training partner's knees. We pull up on the arm. He goes to get up. It's very, very difficult. And as a result, we get our reversal. All three are very effective methods. Be ready to use any one of the three because you don't really know which side he's going to fall or how he's going to fall. Now, the major points. Closed guard situation. We know the worst situation for us is one where he successfully stands up and opens our guard. So we've got to time this. As he comes up to his feet, we go in and we get that binding sweep. We try to take him forward with the classic method. It's just not there. So we reach in and catch. Placido does his level best here to try and stay up on top. But when we start putting weight onto this guy, it's so damn difficult for the guy. And as a result, from here, we get up and knock him down. It's a messy looking sweep, but it's a damned effective one. Works very well even on very tough, athletically gifted opponents. It's a great way to return people to the mat. Worst case scenario, the guy's just some kind of uber athlete, twice as strong as you are, and just explodes away from you. At least you return him to the mat. You create a situation where he's no longer standing over you, ready to blast past your guard. So worst case scenario, this guy goes up to his feet. We lock in. We knock him down. Worst case, he comes back up on top of us. Well, now he's in a situation where we've got a good connection to him and we're ready to play our game from here. At least we're not in a situation where he's standing, you got no grips on him, and he's just blowing past your guard. It's the worst case scenario for older, slower athletes. So there you have it, the leg binding sweep. Two variations, both work extremely well. Learn them both. They're both very, very effective ways to deal with younger, faster, fitter athletes who go into the most dangerous situation for you, which is one where they stand up in your closed guard and threaten to open your guard. Every time they stand up, they become vulnerable to the binding sweep. The most important thing I can convey to you is the idea of timing. One more time, Placido, back to the camera. Remember, if Placido stands up and gets all the way to his feet with wide legs, then it becomes very difficult for me to get my feet together. So what we want to do is let him take the first foot up, and then as the knee leaves the mat, that's when you get people. That's when they fall relatively easily. Okay, so time that second knee coming off the floor. Drop your legs down, bind his two knees together. You can shackle someone's legs together. You take away all of their athleticism. Okay, and that's exactly what the sweep does.